Okay, so if you're in QA right now, you've probably felt it. Something is shifting, job post looks different, the title, manual QA, is disappearing, and you're seeing people, like actual developers, applying for QA jobs. So today I want to answer this. Do QAs need to learn to code in 2026? And honestly, my answer is yes, but not in the way most people think. Here's what we're going to cover. First, I want to talk about the practical reality, what is actually happening in QA roles right now. Then we're going to look at the job markets because there's something really alarming happening that you need to know about. And then we're going to talk about AI because that's where this whole thing gets interesting. And look, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to give you the actual picture so you can make a real plan. Because the worst thing you can do right now is put your head in the sand and hope nothing changes. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about what QA actually looks like in 2026 because it's not what it was 5 years ago, not even close. You know what the old model was, right? You have a dev team that built things, and then QA came in at the end and clicked around to see if stuff was broken. That's it. That was the job. And honestly, that worked for a while. But here's the thing. That model is gone. Like, it's not going away. It's actually gone. Companies don't want someone who can only do that anymore. They want someone who can own quality across the whole process. And that means understanding the code, not just the product. So let's say you go on LinkedIn right now and search QA engineer. Check this out. Almost every mid to senior role is asking for Playwright or Cypress or Selenium. They're asking for TypeScript or Python. They want you to know Git, CI/CD pipelines, and API testing. This isn't just SDET roles anymore. This is just QA. And what that means is the baseline has moved. The floor is higher now. So here's where I get practical with you. Let me show you what a basic Playwright test looks like because I want you to see that this isn't some super advanced developer thing. Okay, so look at that. Read it out loud in your head. Go to the login page. Fill in the email, fill in the password, click sign in, check that welcome back is visible. That's what the code says. It's basically English. And that's the thing. You don't need to be a developer to read this, but you need to know enough to write it, understand it, and catch when something's wrong with it. And that's the distinction I want to make here. I'm not saying you need to go build a backend or write algorithms. I'm saying you need to be comfortable enough with code that you can think in it. Are you following me? Because QA in 2026 is not about clicking buttons. It's about building safety nets. And safety nets are built with code. Okay, so let's talk about something that's making a lot of people uncomfortable, the job market. So here's the thing about the job market right now. And I'm going to be honest with you because I think you deserve that. Junior developers are taking senior SDET jobs, and they're getting them. Let me explain what's happening. You've got a wave of developers, people who learned to code, maybe did a boot camp or got a CS degree, and they're looking at the market and going, okay, dev jobs are competitive right now, but what about SDET roles? I know how to code, I can learn the testing part, and companies are hiring them. Because from a hiring manager's perspective, if you've got someone who can code and you need to teach them testing versus someone who knows testing but you need to teach them to code, which one would you pick? A lot of companies are picking the coder. And look at the pay difference. Manual QAs are sitting in one range. SDET roles, especially with automation experience, are significantly higher. We're talking sometimes a $30,000 to $50,000 gap at the senior level. So if you're a manual QA and you're not picking up coding, you're not just missing out on interesting work. You're potentially leaving real money on the table. And you're putting yourself in a position where your role is at risk as companies consolidate. Now, I want to be fair here. Manual testing is not dead. There's real value in exploratory testing, in UX judgment, and things that take human intuition. But here's the honest truth. Those pure manual roles, they're fewer, they pay less, and they're more vulnerable to cuts. So what do? You have to level up. You don't have to become a software engineer, but you need to close the gap. And honestly, the bar for what closing the gap means has also gotten higher in 2026 because of AI, which brings me to the part of this I'm most excited about. Let's talk about AI. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Tools like Copilot, Cursor, and Claude, they can generate test code. Like you type, write me a Playwright test for the checkout flow, and you get actual code back in seconds. And a lot of people in QA are thinking, oh great, that solves my problem. I don't need a code. AI will do it for me. And honestly, that thinking is going to get you in trouble. Here's why. AI generates code that looks right. It's confident, it's clean, but it makes mistakes. And if you can't read the code, you can't catch the mistakes. Let me show you what I mean. Check this out. Here's what AI might generate for a simple add to cart test. It looks fine, right? And it'll probably work sometimes. But here's the thing. Those CSS selectors, like add to cart button and cart count, those are brittle. You know what brittle means? It means the second a developer changes a class name, your tests break. Not because the feature is broken, because the selector is wrong. And now you've got a test failure. A test that's failing when nothing is actually wrong with the app. And when your team sees that enough times, they stop trusting the test, which means the tests become useless. Now look at what this should actually look like. See the difference? We're using get by role and get by test ID instead of CSS class selectors. These are way more stable. They're built into Playwright specifically because brittle selectors are a known problem in automation. The test is now tied to what the button does, not what it's called in the CSS. And that's the point. AI can get you 80% of the way there really fast. But you need to be the one who looks at the code and goes, wait, this is going to be flaky, or this isn't actually testing what we think it's testing. That requires you to understand the code, not write it from scratch every time. Understand it, review it, catch what AI missed. And actually, that's a really powerful position to be in, because you've got both sides now. You understand the product and the user, you know what should be tested, and you've got AI helping you build tests faster. But you're in control. You know what I mean? So here's the real thing. AI doesn't replace you. AI raises the bar for what you need to know. Because now instead of, can you write basic tests, the question is, can you guide AI, review what it generates, and catch what gets wrong? And that requires a higher level of understanding than before. That's what I mean when I say QAs need to code at a higher level in 2026, not just write a test. Own the automation strategy, and know enough to be the quality person on AI-generated code too. All right, let's wrap this up. So do QAs need to learn to code in 2026? The answer is yes. And here's the quick recap. The practical reality is that the baseline for QA roles has moved. Companies expect code skills now, not as a bonus, but as a requirement. The job market is shifting fast. Developers are competing for SDET roles and winning. If you don't code, you're at a disadvantage in salary, in job options, and in job security. And AI is the thing that makes all of this the more urgent, not less. AI can write test code, but it makes mistakes. You need to be able to catch those mistakes, and that means you need to understand code at a deep level that you might have needed 2 or 3 years ago. So here are the action steps. You actually need to do these. 1. Pick a tool. Playwright with TypeScript is a great choice right now. Don't overthink it. Just pick one and start. 2. Build one real test suite this week. Not a tutorial, but a real test for something you actually work on or use. That's how you learn. 3. Use AI as a pair programmer. Generate some test code with Copilot or Claude. Then sit with it and figure out what's wrong or what could be better. That's the skill you need to build right now. And 4, look at QA job posts in your area. See what they're asking for. That's your roadmap. And 5, if you've got teammates who aren't coding yet, share this video with them, because the earlier they start, the better off they'll be. And if you're new here, I make videos about practical QA, testing, and automation. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And drop a comment below. Are you already coding, or are you just getting started? I read every single comment that you guys post. All right, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.